sucks online in Mike Jackson, but a man that doesn't suck online, a man that is a legend, is here with us right now. It's Pat Miletich, everybody.
What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Doing good, my friend. How you been?
Doing all right, I'm in shape and ready to go for Saturday night.
And we're excited for Saturday night, Pat. You have no idea how my first question of this interview is, have you stopped at CVS or a floral place and picked out a lovely arrangement for Mike Jackson at this point, or like a bereavement card for his family? Because this is going to be a murder.
Well, I think, I have to take, in all seriousness, I have to take every fight pretty seriously. Anybody can land something and hurt somebody, so I'm taking it, very seriously. But when we look at skill sets, obviously I'm better than he is in every category, pretty substantially. He's counting on my age, making me slow and not have good endurance, and so let him count on that. That's more than good for me. Yeah, but no, I plan on going out and putting it on him for sure.
Good.
That's great. So I think the first time we had you on a couple years ago, I think the Mike Jackson stuff was like just starting to percolate. I think it may have like that day, and maybe even that he was saying stuff about you. And you said right then that you'd like to fight him. But how did this actually come to be? All of the beef with Mike Jackson, and then coming to the head of this fight Saturday.
Well, it was Mike and I were friends, got along very well. I enjoyed hanging out with him, and then the riots and stuff started in 2020, summer of 2020, and he started writing some pretty heinous stuff about, people with just different melanin colors of their skin. And I thought, dude, I don't even know this Mike Jackson. What is going on with you? Why are you doing this? And it was, basically fuck you and this and that. And I was like, whoa, bro, this is like burning your fellow citizens' businesses is like, that's not how you address this stuff. Like, you're only hurting, your fellow citizens. And and he was having none of that common sense conversation. So ultimately, when I went to Washington, D.C., I ended up blocking him because it got so out of hand with his language that I'm like, I don't need that negativity. I just don't want that in my life right now. So I just blocked his page, and he took that so personal that he decided to write an article about me being in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, where I went out there with some friends for our podcast. Like a lot of my friends were like, dude, there's going to be something weird about this whole thing. So we should go out there just to observe. And I was like, yeah, I think we should be there. There's some history taking place right now in this country. So I went out there, of course, did nothing wrong, didn't do anything illegal, didn't go up to the Capitol, any of that garbage. And then he wrote the article about me, and the headline was, Pat Miletich supports domestic terrorism and white supremacy, and got me, massive amount of, what they call that, character assassination bullshit, and financial warfare is what it amounted to. And he's proud of that fact. He's now made himself legitimate in the eyes of his, fellow, whatever they are, Marxists or whatever they call themselves. And, he put himself into a conversation with my name and drugged me through the mud. And, that's, I've learned a lesson from this. I will say that if you wrestle with a pig, you're going to get muddy. And I got muddy. I got real muddy. But I'm going to shake the mud. What's that?
The thing about that was it like so unprovoked. The stuff that he was writing at the time, and even the videos he was putting out around that time too, were like they went in nowhere when it came to the conversation actually in a substantive matter. And for him to go after you is just right. No. So wrong.
and unfortunately, this is where we're at in this country, and we have people who are so sold on narratives that they can't see that we're being pitted against each other. It's very obvious. The people the bloodlines that run this planet have done this numerous times, and now they have digital media and television and radio and all kinds of means of programming, and they're doing a pretty good job of it, unfortunately.
This is probably my favorite way to handle it, though. Like let's put the gloves on then.
I think it's a good way, and I think, to be honest with you, Mike Jackson is looking for some sort of respect from me. He's probably not going to get a whole lot of it. I've still thought about ways that I'm going to finish him, but as in all fights, I have to let that happen organically. And put this all behind me, and because I've spent a lot of years just trying to help people, right, from creating athletes and world champions to helping people understand that there's no such thing as disease. It's just different manifestations of inflammation, and there's things in your body from the environment that are causing inflammation, and when you know what substances to put into your body to remove those things that cause inflammation, generally the symptoms of whatever it is you're suffering from are reduced greatly or go away. And so that's something that's important for everyone to understand, that there is no such thing as disease. Those are just different manifestations of inflammation. And the drivers of inflammation, are what they call free radicals, the heavy metals, synthetic chemicals, all that sort of stuff that your body picks up from the environment. And if you don't get them out of your body on a regular basis and replace it with high-grade organic nutrients, you're going to have aches and pains. You're going to have breathing issues. You're going to have digestive issues. You can have cognitive issues. You can have, whatever they call it, whatever names they give it, you're going to suffer from it. And so that's what I figured out, is that, sorry to be so long-winded on this, but it's important to me, that the formula for creating superhuman beings that can do MMA at the highest level and train for 10 weeks, day in and day out, and get up the next day and not be sore, is the same formula for taking people who are suffering from massive amounts of inflammation and helping them reduce all of that and live a normal life.
So are you taking this opportunity as something to prove a chance to prove a point other than I want to beat up Mike Jackson? Is there more than just that? Because of the things that you just said?
Yeah, I mean, it's offered me a platform to help people understand that I've been at this sort of thing for 35 years. After healing myself 35 years ago from respiratory disease that I suffered from my entire childhood, that's the only reason I was able to win a world title. That's the only reason I was able to coach. That's the only reason I was able to train law enforcement and special forces for almost 3 decades, and do broadcasting and all these things that happened simply because I did the research on my own, because nobody had the answers in the medical community. I wasn't getting any better. I couldn't breathe. I suffered every wrestling match, running was misery, all those sort of things. And I wanted to be at a different level. So yeah, it's like the secret to true health is antioxidants. Like, that's a big piece of this. Yes. Of course, cordyceps and a lot of other stuff as well, mushrooms, and other substances on this planet, roots, flowers, plants. That's the real medicine. Like, that's it. There is no argument there. That is the real medicine.
For sure. There are a lot of those organic medicines out there that aren't. They're the chemicals that they're put off also by the big pharma and all that are synthetic versions of those things, and they're not good for you a lot of the time. I mean, plenty of that stuff that they do in labs are garbage compared to a lot of stuff that is, a good for your body.
Right.
And I've done that stuff myself a few times, and it's definitely helped.
Yeah,
I can say that. So I fully agree with you on that, Pat.
That's good. And I tell people, look, do this. Give it a shot for 30 to 90 days. Replace your bread and pasta with something else, right? Wrap your burger in lettuce. I know that sounds really boring, but you're not going to be bloated after you eat it. You're going to enjoy yourself. Literally, you could get up and go for a run right after you eat a cheeseburger. If you don't put bread with it, you won't feel bloated and like shit.
Yeah.
You won't, because that stuff converts to sugar and causes massive amounts of inflammation and, all kinds of other issues. Just do that and then seek out, and I can give people, if they want to look me up, I can tell them where to go to get high grade antioxidants to get all the garbage out of their cells and reset their gut biome. And they'll be off to the races. They'll literally change their lives if they just do that.
Well, you want to run me a diet, Pat? Because my thing right now, and it's very serious, is I'm trying not to die. Right, yeah. I'm in a place where I'm in the worst shape I've ever been in. I'm over 300 pounds. It's bad, and I need to get my shit together. You want to write me a diet?
I mean, we don't call it a diet. We just call it just eating right. To live, right?
Yeah, right. You can't call it a diet because it's the mindset of it. I understand that.
And like for me, look, I'm just as susceptible as anybody. Nobody's perfect. Like, if you put a piece of cherry cheesecake in front of me, mm-hmm. I'm going to inhale it. It's guaranteed I'm going to eat it. So I have to make sure that stuff's not in my house, first off. I have to do a little bit of research and understand what gluten actually does. And I'm the guy that always went, oh, you have a gluten allergy. Oh, that sounds so, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I had blood tests done and I have a severe gluten allergy. But the guy that did the test looked at me. He's a retired Marine as well, but a genius when it comes to blood work. And he goes, dude, you're going to be dead in 3 years from inflammation, from a heart attack or a stroke or something, unless you quit eating bread and pasta. And that was, years ago. And so I, for the most part, stopped. Every once in a while, I will actually have, a burger with a bun, but I feel it. I feel it a lot. And most people are allergic to modern wheat and the glyphosate and all the stuff that it's sprayed with. That's really detrimental stuff. So if you just, what I did is I had to simplify it. I had to say to myself, okay, if I was a caveman, what would I be eating? I'd be eating meat, fish, vegetables, and fruits. As long as you stay roughly in that area and drink half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you drink 150 ounces of water a day, if you weigh 300 pounds, you're going to flush your system daily. As long as it's quality water. That's a real big issue right now too. And then add some antioxidants to it, and your health is going to start changing. It will.
What's quality water? Like, is the water at my house probably quality water? Like,
where are you located? Are you in Cleveland?
No, I'm about 80 miles south of Cleveland, in the middle of nowhere. And
he's in Cody Garbrandt's hometown.
Yeah, okay,
that's true. Yeah. You know where he's from? That's where I'm from.
Yeah. Okay, so the Rust Belt, along with the agriculture belt, has the worst water potentially in the world. Fantastic. Right? So we have massive amounts of herbicides, pesticides, 70% of Americans. And look, man, I don't point fingers at anybody because everybody's been, we go to a person wearing a white lab coat when we don't feel good and they say, well, these are the symptoms. Look up in their book. This is the prescription I'm supposed to write. Right. And then you're suffering from issues from the synthetic chemicals in the environment and the heavy metals, and they write you a prescription for more synthetic chemicals. And so it's just this abusive circle that goes on in the ag industry and in human health. It's the exact same cycle of abuse. And so we just have to be able to help people free themselves from those systems, right? And that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, man, I'm sure I can help you quite a bit. I'm sure we can get you. I mean, how old are you? You look young.
36.
Yeah, you're 36. I mean, we can talk at another time. Like, I'll give you my. You guys have my number, or what? I'll give you my number, whatever. But we can talk about like what you're eating now, how we can change it, change your pantry and your refrigerator. And then any prescriptions that you're on, and we can hook you up with a doctor in your area that will help you get off of those. That's the goal, obviously. We want people to be able to free themselves from that system, and then, gradually wean you off of all of that stuff if you're on anything.
I've I've been on antidepressants literally, well, not literally, but since high school, I've been on them. So about 20 years.
Right. So, and that stuff is that and Oxycontins are both very difficult to wean yourself off of. So obviously you have to have professional help to do that. But changing the cell health and mitochondrial function in your body like really does change a lot. And your gut health. So gut biome, the bacteria balance, the microbes in your digestive system dictate a lot of thought. When your cells are splitting, when you are like just starting in your mother's womb, the stomach and the brain are one cell, and then they separate, right? So that's how closely related they are. And so they call the stomach the second brain for a reason. And a lot of the chemicals that are given off from the stomach dictate a lot of thought. And so we can address a lot of that stuff. And it comes down to, like I said, just digging into the education and realizing, holy shit, like it's actually kind of nightmarish, to be honest with you, when you realize how bad the food and all the other stuff is that's going on, and how much trouble our soil is in right now. So that we can, dude, I'm telling you, I've got a lot of friends and they've motivated me. 350-pound guy, alcoholic drug addict. And years later, he's a world-class ultra runner running 100 miles. He did, one of my friends did over 100-mile runs, competitions, races. He ran across the United States. He went 48 hours straight on a treadmill for 188 miles, held the world record for a little bit on that. And that's a guy that was 350 pounds and an alcoholic drug addict. So it's just a matter of we've got to do it, right? And I battle, dude. I battle with all kinds of shit. Like my world got turned upside down the minute I started telling everybody that the spring of 2020 that we were going to be dealing with crazy stuff. And everybody looked at me like I had three heads and I was crazy and abandoned me and all kinds of shit. And it's not been easy. It's been a rough road for everybody in this country, given what you've dealt with. But if you were somebody who was outspoken like me, it's not been easy.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I can't wait for you to come back on after Tim does this and he has a six-pack. That'll be a great
That
day.
will never happen. Even if
Don't
I did
say that.
have too much
You're
skin.
cursing yourself. Don't say that. You're cursing
right.
yourself.
I was talking about the skin, but yeah.
Hey man, that can be taken care of, brother. Let's worry about first things first, right?
The thing is, I have done it before. About 10 years ago, I was about 280, and I got down to about 170, and I kept it up for a while. But then, then I got depressed, and it just started ticking up. Then COVID hit, and since COVID, it's been real bad. So, it's not impossible. I've done it before, but it's been a while.
You're gonna do it again, brother. You're gonna do it again.
Okay.
It's going to be a beautiful thing.
It needs to happen. I just don't want to, like I said, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I did, last time you were here, you were working, I don't know if you're still working with that company from Canada, the vitamin company. I forget the name of them.
Oh, I've got, now I'm doing, and I have been for quite a while, the biological agriculture industry. So helping farmers heal their soil, use zero synthetics, zero petroleum-based fertilizers, having bigger yields, saving massive amounts of money on their inputs, and then also still involved, started my own product line called Super Soldier, because that's what we're building is organic super soldiers. So people can go to organicsupersoldier.com to find that. And they can find our ag product at soilsavior.com. And we've been I've got a partner out of West Virginia who's an amazing agriculture and soil reclamation expert. And he's a humic fulvic expert, and then the top humic fulvic expert in the world, though they're two of the best, if not the most knowledgeable guys. Took a look at the humic that I got the exclusive on for the United States and said, this is the best, most nutrient-rich substance found on the planet. This is it. This is it.
How did you do that? How did that work?
Just, you know what? It came down to um, just trust, to be honest with you, you know, and that was the big thing, and believing that I could jump into a completely different, which was looking back on it, completely naive and stupid of me to think I could jump into the agriculture industry and just tear it up, because generally agriculture products take 2 years of testing to even get into the market. And then talking to university ag department heads about a product that's not a synthetic and testing it, it's like they know nothing about organics. Universities, like, they don't even test organics. They don't even know anything about it. And I'd go in and I'd have meetings with them, and they'd go, we've never tested an organic product, but after listening to you talk about this and explain all the science, we really want to test your product.
I like it.
Dude, good for you, man. Good for you.
But it's a learning curve, I can assure you.
Of course.
It's not easy, and the agriculture industry is a very closed, like, club.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So an outsider coming in thinking I know what I'm talking about, which I know what I'm talking about when it comes to human health and performance and things like that, and have learned quite a bit about agriculture and soil health and things like that over the years. But, I'm not a soil reclamation expert. I'm not an ag expert. That's why I partnered with one of those guys who's one of the best in the world at it. So. And
you said it was soilsavior.com?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm making sure I have it written down as well, that I have it written down and memorized, so we can plug it at the end as well.
You mix that with water and spray it on your garden, and you literally end up with, 10-foot tall tomato plants, 7-foot tall pepper plants, the cucumber plants grow, the zucchinis, the whatever it is you're growing explodes. It's like, that's why we call it Jurassic Garden. We literally said you will grow Jurassic Gardens with this stuff.
I like it. I like that, and that's gonna help. I mean, like you said, our soil is shit right now, so we need something like a Terra Preta moment like they had in the Amazon. I've read about that got the dark earth that they had down there that could grow anything. We need that in the modern day.
Well, that's what this is, but it's Terra Preta soil on fucking nukes.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So.
I was going to ask you a question when you're talking about like your gluten allergy. I'm pretty sure I'm starting to develop that. Does alcohol make you does that make you inflamed at all? Does that does beer do that to you?
A month ago, I had to stop drinking for obvious reasons. I can't drink alcohol. I've gotten a couple DUIs, and I'm done. I'm done with that stuff altogether. I've sworn it off, handed everything over to God, and that's it.
That's good for you, my friend. Absolutely.
But I can tell you that, whiskeys and wheat beers and all that sort of stuff, if you have an allergy, you're going to be bloated, you're going to feel it, all that sort of stuff. So it's a problem.
For sure. And
red wine, like people that have gluten allergies generally will drink red wine.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, though.
So, yeah.
Well, let's talk more about Saturday. Can we do that?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. How is this different? I mean, number one, obviously, it's been a while since you had an MMA fight, right? When was the last one? 2008, something like that?
Yeah, well, I did the kickboxing fight with Michael Nunn in 2020, the summer of 2020. He and I have been friends for many years, and he, for 4 years was the best pound for pound boxer in the world from my area. And so we did that to get, our citizens out. We got about 5,000 people to come out for a fight during the lockdowns, mind you.
That was awesome.
One of the only sporting events going on the entire planet at the time. And we were very proud of that. It was a unifying moment, I think, for our community here in the Iowa, Illinois area. And it was for a bigger purpose. Like, I have no desire to beat people up. I love helping people. I love changing people's lives for the better. So Michael and I went in, knocked each other around, and had a great time. And this one's obviously for a different purpose, but still, I see a chance to kind of help people unify hopefully educate a few people about really kind of where we want to be as a society. And that is not listening to the news and not taking orders and not listening to mandates that are, soul sucking, ridiculous abuse,
For sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was going to say, this is not that. It's not the fight with Michael Nunn. This is different. A little different.
Yeah, this is different. Yeah. So, it's been a few years, and Mike and I didn't even train for that fight back then. Michael Nunn and I. But this one, obviously, I've trained for and have slimmed down. We have to weigh 175 for the fight, so I had to lose a little bit of weight and get in shape and do some road work and do some sparring and some grappling with some real good BJJ black belts and then get ready.
Do you think he's getting ready, or do you think he's going to show up?
Yeah, I think he'll show up. I think he's got a big enough ego. He'll show up, and he moves well on his feet. He really does.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't. He doesn't possess a massive amount of power or anything like that. So, go ahead.
How did he get into UFC in the first place? I could never figure that out. Like, I know they wanted someone to fight CM Punk, Phil Brooks, but but why him? I mean, there could have been a lot of people. Why was it him?
I think he plays the heel really well. He talks a lot of shit, obviously, and he moves. He looks the part. He moves well, right? So they thought, okay, he looks the part, talks a lot of shit, moves pretty well, but he's maybe just bad enough that he could lose to a WWE guy.
Yeah,
which wasn't the case.
No. Shoot, sorry, I'm sorry. Man, just a lot.
Were you surprised when you sent the contract that he sent it back with a signature? Did you at that point sending that out? You're like, he's not going to sign this. Did you think he was just going to back out of it once he got it, or did you think he was actually going to sign that contract?
I didn't think he was going to do that, and I didn't think he was going to show up for the press conference, which he did.
Yeah,
and so that leads me to believe he's invested. He's gone down this dead end street, far enough that he's actually going to show up for the fight and make weight, and we're going to do this.
Well, listen, I will give him credit for that, because there's a lot of people on the internet that hide behind the anonymity of the internet and don't even use their real name. They'll say things. Not only does he use his real name, but he's going to come and he's going to fight. And a lot of people would never do that. They pretend like they would do something like that. They pretend like they could fight people. People call them out and they'll just, to hide on their keyboard. At least he's doing that, man. I give him credit for that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I will acknowledge that to be true. And, so just as long as he shows up and climbs in the cage, then we're good to go.
Yeah. This is a little bit better way to do it than Jake Shields did it, apparently, right? Like that didn't go great, I don't think. At least you have contracts and referees and stuff now.
Right. Well, and it was interesting that the charges were filed against Jake Shields like
yesterday,
a couple days ago. Yeah, a couple days ago. Which I guarantee Jake would love to see me.
I'm sure.
Well, while grind him up and spit him out, leave enough. For him to beat the hell out of that boy.
Oh, hell yeah. And if anybody's interested, there will be a live stream of this available to watch. It's going to be at cageaggressionevents.com. So just follow the link. You guys are night 2 for that, right?
Yeah, we're Saturday night. We're doing, and we've been doing this for quite a while. We've been doing our own internet pay-per-views. And that started after Access TV was bought out by Anthem, the Canadian company, bought Mark Cuban's Access TV, and 42 people lost their jobs in the sports department at Access TV. And I thought, well, there's no reason we can't do this on our own. We don't need a billionaire to have a network to be able to at least broadcast fights on our own. So some of my friends here, Justin Holstein and Paul Martinez and Mike Goodwin, the promoter of Caged Aggression, myself, and some other gentlemen put together a team and started doing it on our own. And we're really, really happy about that. We've been doing it for, ever since Access was bought out before the lockdowns.
Nice. Very nice. And the what's the name of the arena that you guys are in again?
It's in downtown Davenport, Iowa. It's called the River Center.
River Center. Yes.
Yeah.
So if anybody watches this in the Davenport area, go to the River Center for that fight. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited.
There's a few tickets left, but I mean we've got a lot of people that are starting to buy right now because they're going, oh, this is real. This is actually happening.
It's going to happen, yeah.
And that, considering all the craziness and again, as I've watched all this stuff with my education in terms of hosting a podcast that talked about this kind of stuff for a decade and, having researched vaccines for, 25 years and reading data and everything else and understanding liposomal delivery systems, the lipids, the smart dust, the hydrogel, all the other stuff the components, and this being an experimental treatment, and people, in the military had to decide between defending their nation, serving their country, and taking up experimental treatment. And people lost their jobs, had to quit their jobs. This affected millions, tens of millions, everybody in essence, in one way or another. But man, it cost a lot of people jobs, a lot of people, a lot of drug addiction, a lot of depression, a lot of suicide, a lot of, this, and it was all based on lies. I mean, we have to be, if we're through and through and thoroughly honest about it, everything about this has been a lie. And that should tell you how little they actually care about the citizens of the world in general. But, more right now, at least specifically Americans. I know a lot of special forces folks and other military folks who have suffered some pretty severe health issues because of the treatment. And we've been helping to educate them on antioxidants, removing synthetics and heavy metals out of their cells so we can get them back online. And that's been happening.
And even like the younger athletes now that you see in the news, just out of the blue, keeling over, it's something is going on. Like you have to look and say there has to be something if these healthy individuals are just completely going down the drain for no apparent reason except for maybe internally. There's got to be something.
Well, we've been helping a lot of professional athletes as well. One athlete in particular is one of the top MLS guys in the world. And he was out for almost a year because of the side effects, the adverse reaction to what this did to him, and affected his heart rate, affected, a lot of stuff in his body. And literally 3 weeks later, after cleaning his body out, detoxing his body, it all came back. He's operating at 100%. He's faster than he's ever been. He's leaned out. He's a machine again. And his wife is ecstatic. She sent me a text message and said, "I can't thank you enough for what you did for my husband. It's completely changed his whole perspective now on life. You got That's one of the best guys one of the absolute premier athletes in the world in his sport. And suddenly he's out for almost a year and he's crippled because of this stuff. And then you get him back online in a fairly short amount of time. And that's what this is all about. It's about helping people, right?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to read something from our comment section. Someone said that I need to have a full-on vax debate with you right now, because I'm like, this is the last thing I would ever do. Number one, because I'm not prepared to do that. Number one, I know how it would end. The only thing I say is I had them and I'm fine. So that's me, though. I know that's not the case with everybody.
Yeah. Right. No, and you know what? Look, that is something that, a lot of people have not had issues, and God bless that you haven't. I don't want that to happen to you, but I can tell you that a lot of my friends in the Special Forces world have had some severe reactions, and a lot of other folks, just to give you an idea, a very close friend of mine who's a college professor, just in her class alone, she has 4 college students who can't do the physical portions of the class because they've already had heart attacks. That's not normal. That's not normal. And that's just in one college class, mind you.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So here's what it comes down to is the immune system, the human immune system is perfect. It's literally fucking perfect. If we put the right things in our body and have cellular health and mitochondrial function, literally you're bulletproof. You're literally fucking bulletproof. And so that's really what this comes down to. And I think, like I said, building a superhuman is the same as taking someone who's suffering from massive amounts of inflammation and making them not suffer from massive amounts of inflammation and fix immune function. That's really what this comes down to. And it's the same thing. The immune system is responsible for everything under the sun, from the common cold all the way to cancer and everything in between.
We have a comment from our friends, the MMA holes. He said, "I had to vax, and now I'm a Mike Jackson fan." I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense. That's what happened.
That's a terrible thing.
It turned him.
Well, look, and I've made up a lot of jokes. I actually wrote an entire, I've got some friends who are comedians, right? And so they said, Miletich, you need as much knowledge as you have on all this shit. You should write some stand-up comedy stuff. And by the time I got done writing all of it, it's so dark that I'm just I can't do it.
You're perfect for this show, sir. You're perfect for us.
It's like the Adam Sandler, remember the movie The Wedding Singer? He did a sequel. I said he'll be doing a sequel called The Funeral Singer, and the soundtrack and I ran through all the shows for the soundtrack of the movie, like Don't Break Myocarditis Heart and shit like that. What were some of the other ones? Freaking Throw Down in Fauci Town or some shit. I can't remember.
Oh, that guy.
This is our producer, Pulse, by the way.
Yes, this gentleman just didn't abscond with our show. He's
how are you, sir?
I'm great. It's nice to meet you, sir. I'm a big fan.
I appreciate it. Good to meet you. I saw you there sitting there silent in the blue light and stuff, and I'm like, this dude's just chilling. Is he like CIA or?
No, he definitely could be FBI though. He looks like a guy who could be a spook. That would be just he gets in there, just embeds completely, and that's why we have him on the show.
Awesome, dude.
When he just sits there in the dark light, it looks like we have a ghost. It looks like the show's haunted and just hanging out in the back, haunting the stream.
He's your handler.
Yeah, maybe. Paul, did you have a question for Pat?
I did. It's just I'm not sure.
All right, well then let's not ask it then. I don't know what I have no idea.
No, by all means, dude. But by all means, ask anything. I don't care.
Well, I had two of them, but I guess I'll just ask one. I heard through the grapevine. Is it true that you are a Freemason?
Yes, I am a Freemason. I'm a former past master of my lodge, Blue Lodge, and I let people know. Like I made fun of Eddie Bravo because I was on Eddie Bravo's podcast years ago, and he was going off on Freemasons, and he's like, they're satanic, and they eat babies, and they do this, and they do that. And I go, hey, dude, I'm a Freemason. And he about shit his pants. But so one thing that I try to help people understand is there are like Blue Lodge, Mason lodges, and then there are clandestine lodges, right, that are not recognized. So there's those two sectors of Freemasonry, like, the guys Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett and Travis and all those dudes at the Alamo. Those guys were all Freemasons, and they knew they were going to die, but they did it out of principle. There were several guys, obviously, that have been presidents that are Freemasons. I don't like all of them, trust me. Mm-hmm. But there are, and I can tell you that some of the conversations I've had in my lodge, were, and we can't discuss politics or religion in lodge, but when like you're eating dinner or whatever, you can. And I can tell you that, there has been some discussions, about left versus right and all that sort of stuff. And um, there's left and right in Freemason lodges. There is, that does exist, but never once in all the years that I went to lodge has anybody ever talked about, Satan, Lucifer, anything like that. That's never been something. And they always say, well, you got to be way up in the ranks to be able to do that. And I'm like, okay, I was the master of my lodge for a year. Nobody ever approached me about any of that shit. It doesn't exist. Now, clandestine lodges, I've dealt with some of those guys. They're a little trippy. They're a little trippy. I'll be honest with you.
I can imagine. We talked about it in the last time you were here. I've deep roots in the Masonic order, and whenever I hear people talk the way they do about like the blue lodges and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not a member. I want to be. I've got a few lodges around me that I can do, but whenever I hear somebody start talking the satanic stuff, you're like, come on, man! Like it's just guys getting together, and it's a fraternity. That's all it really is in the long run. It's brotherhood. That's all.
Well, how does somebody do you fill out an application? Or how does somebody get inducted? How does that work?
You have to be asked generally, but for me, I was never asked. I saw the square and compass in my mom's dad's barn when I was a little kid. I remembered that, seeing that on a big wood beam in the barn. And then, so I found it very interesting, and I started researching at a pretty young age, kind of the history of Freemasons and what they were all about. And so I'd just always been intrigued with their history. I've always been a history buff, so to speak. And I respected what, guys, like I said, the George Washingtons and the Daniel Boones and the Davy Crockett's and, those types of guys, what they had done in history and kind of what they stood for. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go down to the lodge. So it was really trippy. So I went down and I knocked on the door of the lodge, and a guy opens the door about this much, and he goes, "Who goes there?" And I went, "My name's Pat, and I'm just interested in what you guys do." And he goes, "All right, come on in." So I went in, sat down. They gave me some dinner, started talking to them, and then eventually they came to my house to meet myself. They had dinner. 3 guys had dinner at my house, met my wife and my family, and then I went through the degree work, and it's very, there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of knowledge in it. There's a lot of memory work as well. There's some incredible lectures. Michael Chavello and I, when we worked together broadcasting, he's also a Freemason. And when we would travel, Michael would do the research on what lodge would be meeting in the area where we were going to be doing a broadcast, and we would always try and make it to a lodge meeting in different areas. We'd go wherever, like Arizona, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, wherever. And we saw some incredible stuff, but there was one guy that gave what's called the G lecture, which I believe is 2,100 words. And he was 18 years old. And this kid, he was 18 years old, in a suit, walked back and forth across the stage giving the lecture, the G lecture, to somebody that was doing the degree work, guy going up for his second degree. And watching this kid give this lecture, it was like you were watching a president in the 1800s give a speech. That's
awesome.
So incredible. And he remembered every word. He has photographic memory and auto memory. So he can listen to a speech and then give it a year later with the same voice, same inflection, same pause, same everything. And very few people have that ability, but he's one of them on the planet that does. And Michael Chavello, who's a supremely intelligent human being, with that similar type of memory, looked at me during that lecture and went, "Dude, I've never seen anything like this. This is incredible."
That's awesome.
Yeah, whole different level. whole different level. So it's, you know, I would say, you know, lodges vary greatly depending on where you're at geographically and all that sort of stuff with how they do things. But it's you wouldn't be disappointed in going through the degree work.
Absolutely. And Pat, we're gonna let you go here in a sec.
Okay.
But the MMA holes did have a question that I am actually I don't maybe you'll remember this, but Dana threw you under the bus at a media event not too long ago. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, that was when all the so-called coaches and experts and everybody questioned Chimaev missing weight by freaking 18 pounds or 14,
yeah.
or 14
100%
pounds.
on your side on that, by the way. I said the
You
same
know,
thing you did.
All I said was, okay, from what I understand is a Russian or Chechen or Kazakhstani wrestler is not going to miss weight by 14 pounds. They probably said however it went down, whether he wasn't going to make weight or didn't want to make weight or whatever was going on. Or I said possibly that the fans weren't buying the show because they didn't want to see Nate Diaz face a young, scary dude like that.
Yeah.
And they just weren't selling it, and they had to switch it up last minute. And they just told him, hey, just weigh in at 184. We'll say you missed weight, and we're going to switch it up, and you're fighting, somebody else. And he ended up fighting. Who did he end up fighting on that show?
Kevin Holland?
He fought Kevin Holland, yeah.
Yeah.
And Kevin Holland got the raw deal on that one, man. I love Kevin Holland. He's
my favorite.
He's a cool dude, and he got a raw deal on that one. But that's the corporation, right? You just be a company man. But yeah, so that was what he was freaking out about and saying, oh, he's fucking retarded and this and that and whatever. It's like
I said almost the exact same thing you said. I thought the same thing. Like, I'm not a conspiracy person, but I do say on the show a lot that it seems like when things go wrong, they work out for the UFC almost every time.
Well, I even said, look, I'm not accusing him of a crime or anything. If it actually happened the way I think it might have gone down, that was a smart business move. That was actually intelligent, right? That's
but
really
why lie about it? Why don't we just be like, hey, we kind of screwed this up. No one wants to see this. And there he is.
Yep, he's coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
It was better than it ended up.
Sorry
being
about that,
anyway.
Pat. Something happened. Not sure, but
no problem.
But yeah, we will. We do appreciate you for being on, my friend. It's definitely, we're looking forward to having you on again. After obviously embarrassing Mike Jackson this Saturday, go to CageAggressionEvents.com for the live stream. It's night 2. Also, if you are interested, go to soilsavior.com, and then it's organicsupersoldier.com. Am I correct on that?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. And it's PJ Miletich on Instagram and all other social media.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, Pat. We really do. And we wish you luck Saturday, and we'll be definitely rooting for you one way or another, my friend.
You got it. And Tim, hit me up with a text or whatever, and we'll stay in touch on getting you going and up and running, buddy.
100%, man. I appreciate it. You'll hear from me for sure.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Take care, Pat.
Good ass, man.
Have a great night.
What a great guy.
Oh, love Pat Miletich, dude. Were you feeling the same out-of-body experience that I was, even on the first one, going, holy fuck, we have Pat Miletich on the show?
We talked about this. I don't I have tons of respect for him, but I don't get starstruck like you do. We've talked about this. But was I happy he was here? 100%.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. And
he's always...
What were you going to say, Paul?
No, I was going to say, y'all brought up a good point. As far as that Chimaev thing, supposedly there was a fight backstage, but there was no footage released of it. And it's like, they got cameras everywhere. So I kind of feel like that was bullshit.
No, I think almost if anything happens and there's no video, I'm like, how's there no video? I feel like the only way there's no video is if there's only 2 people within a mile of it. Like those 2 people involved are the only people there. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, no, I definitely remember. I think we played what he said on here because I said the exact same thing he did. Because, and like I said, I'm not a conspiracy person at all. But when I saw that, I'm like, that just worked out too well for him. And everyone was like, why do we want to watch Nate Diaz's last fight when he just gets absolutely mauled? And probably no. I don't listen. All the pay-per-view numbers that come out with are always shady.